So back in October 2022, I wrote an article about Andrew Tate that's proven to be one of my more popular pieces, for better or worse. And because he's become even more controversial than when I wrote that article, and because he's having such a huge influence on men that I care about, I wanted to turn this into a video so that I can reach a larger audience who prefer video content. So you're going to see me reading my own article, which I know is a bit weird for a video, but it is what it is. So Andrew Tate, is he a masculine role model, or is he a psychopathic fraudster, or is he something else? So I think it's past time to reveal the truth about Andrew Tate, who he is, what his intentions are, and the threat that I think he represents. I was initially reluctant to do any kind of content about him for a couple of reasons. One is everybody else is doing it, and I really dislike doing what everyone else is doing. I hate being on trend for the sake of being on trend. It feels very inauthentic to me. So my ego was kind of repulsed by the idea of being another person using Andrew Tate to get clicks or some shit like that. But more importantly, the main reason I didn't want to do anything is because, though Tate doesn't know me personally, he wants me to do this. He wants everybody to do this. This is his marketing machine. So whenever anybody critiques him or comments on him in any way, he does better. This is exactly what he's trying to provoke people into doing. He has successfully, in fact, manipulated me into creating content because he's posed a threat to the people I care about. And so part of me hates that I've actually allowed his manipulation to affect me and been backed into a corner where I feel I actually have to do something about it. Which is exactly what he wants. I mean, he is the living embodiment of the idea that there's no such thing as bad publicity. So he's perfected the marketing technique of turning criticism, both positive and negative, into dollars in his pocket. And now I'm one of those people adding more money to his pocket. But, a Brojo member who I care about asked me to comment on whether or not Tate represents the Brojo values of integrity and masculinity that we try to promote, whether he's a role model for healthy masculine confidence. And I realized if I don't say anything, then by my silence, I'm actually condoning that. So if I don't say anything against Tate, the people who are in my Brojo audience, people who follow my philosophy, will, I guess, intuit that I don't have a problem with him. And I don't want to give that impression because that's absolutely not the case. So I had to swallow my ego to write this article and then turn it into a video. By the way, I make some claims about him that are factual, and in the written article there are links to the source material for those claims. So if you go to the written article to see if what I'm saying is bullshit, you can find the links to where I got my information from. So, who is Andrew Tate? Why the fuck is everyone talking about him? So I'm going to assume you know who he is, but in case you don't, I'll give you a little bit of background information. The basics are he's a champion kickboxer, and he went on to notoriety after featuring on some reality TV program in the UK. And he's since become this online superstar with a large following, mostly of young men. He's known for his controversial statements, his misogynistic stance on women, his incredible wealth and hedonistic, materialistic lifestyle, his bedding of women, and his overall sheer prolificacy. He's just everywhere all the time, at least by his own admission. He's kind of like the Kardashians. He's somehow achieved that magical state of being famous because he's famous, right? How that even begins is beyond me, but he's there. All of his online content, a great majority of which is created by his own clients and customers, which I'll get to in a minute, leads eventually to a single location, and that is the Hustle University. This is an online learning platform he's created, teaching a range of topics: wealth building, entrepreneur, crypto, seduction. And it's a subscription-based membership, so you pay like $50 a month, at least at the time of making this video, that was the cost. And if numbers are to be believed, this earns Tate many millions of dollars per year, with very little active effort on his part. And it's been confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that none of the education inside the university itself is delivered by Tate. He does the marketing on the outside, but then he hires all these so-called experts on the inside. A lot of people have already critiqued and commented on the quality of the content in that university. The key element to this university, the real kicker here, is that his customers are encouraged to create and promote content about Tate for their own benefit, to kind of ride his coattails for their own, reach and quantity of views and likes and all that kind of stuff. And so the reason we're hearing so much about Tate from so many places is because every person enrolled in his university is being encouraged to push, create, share, publish more information about him. So his students literally pay him to do his marketing for him, thinking that it's in their benefit. It's amazing. It is incredible. If you take away the kind of morality of it, it is incredibly genius marketing, and it's working exceptionally well. So the rich keep getting richer. Tate is one of the few people who's understood how to deliberately go viral. It's not some mystical algorithm to him. He's figured it out. And the secret is really a marketing concept called social proof. He knows that people will look at things because other people are looking at things. People will buy things because other people are buying things. And he's exploited that to the highest degree I've ever seen in my life. And I'm somebody who studies manipulation. So Tate manufactured the appearance of being viral until it became a reality, and now it's a self-sustaining exponential growth curve. People just can't stop talking about him, and because they can't, other people must now talk about him, argue with each other, so on, and all of it is just clicks on Tate, which all adds up to dollars in his pocket. He's tapped into the human inability to keep our mouths shut about something controversial. I'm doing it right now, for fuck's sake, right? So Tate now knows that he only needs to provide new controversy every now and then on a regular basis to keep the fire burning, and everybody else will do all the work for him. He doesn't have to do much, just show up on a podcast every now and then, say something controversial, and the money keeps pouring in. You could almost say that his recent arrest was something that he generated, though I doubt that. Tell you what though, it gave him another, million followers or so it's in his benefit again. But why does he do it? What's his motive? This is the thing that people seem to not be seeing, and that's what I really wanted to share here today, especially to those of you who like Tate, who are devoted to him especially, worship him, think that he's a role model for how to be a man. I want to reveal what his real motive is, because you are his target, you are his victim, all right? So some people, many actually, think he's just a narcissistic bigot who likes to run his mouth, a kind of, kickboxing Conor McGregor version of Trump, who just gets off on creating a stir. That's what a lot of people think, and that's why they comment on him so much. His supporters, on the other hand, will tell you that he's on a mission to get the truth out in the world, to shake up the woke conspiracy that holds us all and threatens to control us all, and to break us out of the matrix, right? Some people think it's just a carefully crafted performance designed to get him as much attention as possible to feed his ego. And a few people think it's unintentional. He's just being himself, and it just happens to kind of create a big deal. But personally, I don't think anyone has seen the exact strategy that Tate is employing, except for me, because I'm so fucking awesome, okay? But seriously, there's a method to his madness, and the only reason I see it is because I'm intimately familiar with his secret target audience, his real victims, which are the men in the manosphere. Now, more specifically, Tate's content in Hustle University is intimately linked, and through a carefully crafted and deviously clever campaign, he's exploited a marketing niche that very few people have cottoned onto, and very few people have had the insight to see as highly profitable. And that niche is called the red pill community. Escape the matrix, take the red pill. So if those of you who aren't familiar with it, and you're either really familiar with it or you've never heard of it probably, the red pill community is an unofficial collection community of mostly men within the realm of what's known as the manosphere. Now, the manosphere began as a kind of collection of men's rights advocates, self-help, dating gurus, similar-minded individuals and groups, and has since become this huge, yet still kind of underground, quasi-organized online community of men with a shared philosophy, interests, and beliefs. Now, among the things they believe, there are two prominent ideas that are relevant to Tate. Firstly, they believe that most people are in the matrix, meaning that nearly everyone is a kind of unenlightened slave of an oppressive society system that holds them back for the benefit of a dangerous, kind of elite class of people. And specifically, this elite class of people, there's a conspiracy theory in Red Pill about the feminization of the West, and it refers to leftist political ideologies, feminists, woke, the like. In other words, taking the red pill is about escaping this matrix and fighting against that woke kind of elitist mob that's controlling everything. Now, secondly, and related to the first point, red pill men believe that men specifically get a raw deal in society all over the world, and women get a better deal. And this is due to some evolutionary psychological memes about women being destructive and dominating and cruel and hypergamous. And there's a strong misogynistic streak throughout the red pill narrative, and it's either directly stated or implied through the constant focus on how men are actually superior, or they should be. And this is the kind of stuff Tate says all the time. So a large portion of this indefinable audience of red pill followers are frankly quite bitter, they're resentful, they're beaten men who have had terrible experiences, especially with women, and they're looking for answers to the recurring issues that they have in their careers and in their love lives. And they're desperate for quick fixes and someone else to blame. Now, there are exceptions in this community, I've met them, but how this relates to Tate is that specific bitter niche in the red pill community is millions of men strong, and he's figured out how to get in touch with them. The exploitation of broken men and teens. I'm getting a lot of mothers contacting me because they're worried about their teen boys following Tate, and I'm guessing that they represent a large portion of his audience as well. So Andrew Tate, through accident or discovery, has identified this red pill niche. He knows what they want to hear, he knows what they admire, he knows their pain points, he knows what they are willing to pay for. He's done his fucking research, or he stumbled across it perfectly by accident. He willingly provokes others into calling him things like the king of toxic masculinity because he knows that this is a badge of honor in the red pill community. They believe this term, even though it was originally coined by the manosphere itself, is a derogatory attack on men who are simply speaking the truth. Right? So if a guy's called toxic masculinity, in the red pill it means he's a truth talker, he's a hard hitter, he's standing up for men everywhere, even if he's just a rapist. So Tate regularly rags on women and alludes to treating them poorly, using them for sex without any thought to emotional connection. There's even a quite disturbing audio piece where you can hear him berating and threatening violence against a woman. Even though both of them have since claimed that it was all in good fun, it really doesn't sound like it. He's talked about kicking women, and so on. He knows that a large portion of the red pill community are bitter towards women, blame women for their own suffering, and so will automatically hunt for content that validates their point of view and their narrative. And that point of view also has a strong viral algorithm, especially on YouTube. So Tate's basically surfing that algorithm. Every time you look up anything to do with not liking women, Tate comes up. He will regularly, and this is his real sort of strategy here, he'll target and provoke left-leaning people into arguing against him, while he'll cozy up to right-leaning people into agreeing with him. And you can see this, like he recently kind of turned Piers Morgan around. That was brilliant. Tate actually manipulated Piers Morgan into kind of being on his side. They had a laugh together and so on, because Piers is the kind of person he wants on his team, because Piers is a role model for his target market. Whereas if he interviews basically any woman or anybody on the left, or is interviewed by them, he deliberately turns the key. He winds them up. He says all these controversial things about women and sex and so on to provoke a reaction. He wants the left to hate him and the right to love him because that's what puts money in his bank account. He doesn't actually care about being on anyone's team. The only team Tate is on is Team Tate. Now, the red pill community is almost uniformly anti-left and anywhere between moderate and conservatively right. And so he's playing to the politics of the group, which is quite brilliant marketing. And I've only seen Trump do this. Everybody else markets to other kind of demographics, but Tate's actually marketing a self-help product to a political agenda. It's brilliantly done. He's picked up on just a very simple but devastatingly effective marketing technique. So Tate likes to play up his so-called dark triad traits, the more sort of aggressive and violent elements of his personality. He's constantly referring to his kickboxing. He talks about owning weapons. He talks about violence, dominating women, bullying nerds. These are the kind of traits that are worshipped by the red pill community. They believe such qualities are very attractive to women and respected by men. They're basically the Sigma male, as it's now called, is pretty much a psychopath. They think that's the ultimate way to be, the James Bond type. Now, Tate's subscription service is fairly affordable. Like I said, it was $50 a month last time I checked. Now, he's picked up on something else that I know about the red pill community. A lot of them are quite broke. So if you want to sell something to them, it's got to be low cost. And so he sold them basically all the answers they could ever want for just $50 a month. It's very appealing. He's not going for the big ticket items. He's going for the quick wins from the guys who really actually don't even have $50 a month to spend, but they will spend it on their hero Tate, even though he doesn't feature inside the university for even a second. So if you just step back, look at everything Tate's doing from a very high level, rather than getting bogged down on any one particular controversial or insightful thing that he said, you'll see the strategy overall. Attract and capture the red pillar's attention and admiration, draw them into the sales funnel, take their money with high pressure so-called entrepreneur sales techniques. You can actually watch him do this on a video. It's pretty incredible. Promising them an end to their pain, firstly through financial gain and then through sexual conquest. You know, he's basically saying you can be like me with my 33 Lamborghinis or whatever the fuck, and I just shag all these girls and so on and so forth. So one question that came up is he authentic? You know, it's an interesting question. Is this an act or is this actually Tate? And honestly, I can't answer that question. In fact, only he will ever know the answer to that because he's such a good actor that if he is acting, you don't know whether he's acting or not. But I don't think this is really him exactly. What I think is it's a play on who he is. It's exploiting his strengths to make money. So he's played to like the elements of his true personality and the beliefs, you know, to his benefit. I mean, he's very consistent with what he says, so it'd be hard to like fake that for a long time, that consistency. But authenticity would also include showing your strategy. And that's the one thing he's really not doing. The fact that he is grifting the red pill community, poking their wounds and taking their money under the guise of being their messiah. He's not open and honest about that very often. There are times where he slips and lets that information out, but he's even got to the point where he could probably tell them and they'll just admire him even more. That's how sick and twisted this whole fucking system is, right? He'll say, I'm literally fucking you in the ass for my own benefit and I don't care about you at all. And they're just going to be like, oh, he's such a Sigma male. It's ridiculous. You know, it's like Stockholm Syndrome or something. They admire him because he's the captor. So his strategy is deliberately selecting and signing up people to his hustle university to make money while simultaneously building his reputation as something like the bad boy who tells the truth and breaks people out of the matrix. That's what he likes to think of himself. It's very grandiose, like he's, you know, some sort of digital Jesus. And, you know, he is the answer to the woke problem, which I actually also agree is a problem. And I should have said this at the start. If you think I'm on the left, I'm actually moderately right. I hate the woke movement too. But the opposite of madness is still madness, right? So Tate is the other extreme. Tate's goals are pretty simple. Get rich, get famous, get powerful, and always have more of those three. It is the basic drive of any psychopathic personality. Now, since I first wrote that post, there's been an update. Tate and his brother have been arrested by authorities in Poland following a very bizarre Twitter exchange with Greta Thunberg, who basically raked him over the coals, on charges of sex trafficking. Now, I've since heard that Tate has some shady ties with the Russian mafia, something to do with casinos, and I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if the allegations are true. You know, I see Andrew Tate as basically a sophisticated, muscular version of Jared from Subway, right? Him being charged with sexual offenses, I'm not even 0.01% surprised at all. I'd be surprised if he didn't do anything. I'd be shocked. However, it's really important to notice how Tate preempted this problem. He's been saying for some time to his followers that eventually the Matrix is going to come and get him. and for being so outspoken about the truth, for revealing everything they don't want revealed, even though he's one of hundreds, maybe even thousands of high-profile influencers who share the same views, about the woke movement, about COVID restrictions, whatever. He's not the only one saying the stuff that he says at all. Yet he's the only one being arrested for sex trafficking. So this was a phenomenal piece of ass covering on his part. He knew he was likely to be arrested, which tells me he knew he committed a crime, and he ensured his audience would only see his arrest as evidence that he's legitimate. It's like how Trump set up losing the election to make it look like fraud if he lost before the election even took place. He kind of preempted it, like, if I lose, it's definitely fraud. If I win, it's legit, right? So that as soon as the election took place, that seed had already been planted, and then you get the Capitol Hill riots, right? So we can see this anticipatory deflection technique used by a lot of online scam artists and psychopaths, con artists. If you look up most major online financial advisors or entrepreneurs type guys, like Grant Cardone, for example, you'll see that early on in their online career, they created a video themselves with a title like, "Am I a Fraud?" And what they've done is they've ensured that organic traffic over time will guarantee that if anyone ever searches for, is this guy a fraud, is this guy legit, their own video will come up first. They know that in the future, somebody is going to try and figure out if I'm a fraud. They know they're going to get up to some shit. And they want to make sure that if anybody accuses them of fraud, the first information they see is written by the fraud person himself. A lot of religious cults do this. If you look up, is blah, blah, blah a cult, you'll see that they've made a video themselves showing you that they're not a cult, right? So Tate's gone, okay, I'm definitely going to get arrested because I've done some hideous things. When I do, I need to make sure that my audience actually thinks I'm the man for getting arrested, that they think that they saw this coming as part of a conspiracy. And that way they'll never, ever believe that I am, in fact, a pedophile, which he almost certainly is. So, in a nutshell, the overall picture for Andrew Tate seems pretty simple to me. He probably has antisocial personality disorder, perhaps a narcissistic personality disorder, but combined with a kind of superior cunning, a very high IQ, proven by his chess prowess, and strong social intuition. So he's employed these strengths to their utmost, and he's ironically exploited the very people who have chosen him as their champion, the Red Pillers. I've got a lot of sympathy for Red Pill dudes. Many of them come from pain and misery. They've banded together out of desperation, rage, hope for a brighter future. Tate has twisted the knife to squeeze both cash and validation out of them, as if they haven't lost enough already. And the sad part is they love him for it. And the worst part is teenage boys with their easily influenced minds worship Tate. And people are backed into a corner by sunk cost fallacy. Like, if you've really been supportive of Tate, sharing his content, telling everyone that he's the man, and then he gets convicted for sex trafficking, you're going to have to die with the lie, or feel that you have to, because you don't want to admit that you supported Jared from Subway, right? You don't want to admit that you're a fan of Jeffrey Epstein, fucking Weinstein, whatever. You're going to have to try and prove that he didn't do it just to protect yourself from looking like an idiot. So Tate set people up, and I think this is the most horrible thing he's done. He set people up to feel so embarrassed by Tate's crimes that they actually cover for him. And so Tate's going to get all the support throughout his trial. I guarantee you that. I'll post this before the trial even begins. And from his audience, they're only going to love him even more, desperate to prove that he didn't do it. Because if he did do it, then they're going to look stupid. And they don't want to look stupid. So he's backed them into a corner. And I think that is absolutely just so immoral. I can't believe that he's getting away with this. I can't believe all these online scam guys can do this shit. It just blows my mind. So from what I've seen, Hustle University is largely a scam. You can get equally valuable content for free on YouTube, other platforms. Other people better than me have investigated. The university found that a lot of the teachers on there have very dodgy histories. Some of them are like crypto scammers and so on. Many of them are just straight up unsuccessful people, and yet they're the teachers in the university. Like I said before, Tate doesn't even feature. He doesn't teach a thing. He just signs people up and then hands them off to his team of dogs who aren't even good at anything. And I'm not making this up. Many people have actually paid to go into the university, watch every video and investigate it. if nothing else, there's nothing original of a particular value there for $50 a month that you can't get for free with a Google search. So in summary, Andrew Tate is a highly successful marketing fraudster and likely sex offender, doing the same old bullshit that every other scammy cunt who came before him has done, just doing it a lot better than most of them, and riding a particular wave. The thing he did that the others didn't do well is he got other people to promote him instead of promoting himself. So he just looks like a guy, he just looks like an influencer, a high profile guy that everyone else is talking about. And what you don't see is he is encouraging all these people to provoke that conversation. He is actually promoting himself, but it looks like other people are doing it for him. It helps that he's entertaining, he's funny, he's emotionally provocative, he knows exactly what to say to hit his target audience and piss off his enemies. He's employed that kind of keep him guessing, like what's he going to say next, unpredictability that works so well for Donald Trump. And that's why I keep comparing him to Trump, as those are the only two I've seen employ the same overall basic marketing strategy so successfully. And like Trump, he's fallen. Like the strategy is short term, it doesn't last very long. It's only a matter of time before you fall. Now, this is what I wrote in the article in October. I'm sure that in time, Tate will fall. And look at him, arrested for sex trafficking, as have nearly all the others before him. But before that happens, he's going to gather millions of misguided lemmings, and they're going to follow him off the edge of the cliff, and they're going to keep jumping off that cliff after him, even if he gets proven to be a pedophile, which, like I said, there'll be zero shock on my side. So I wrote this with some regret for promoting his name, but hope that I might break the illusion of Tate as some self-created legend. Steer some of the men who are worshipping away from the sinking ship. Don't be the one who has to hang your head in shame when somebody goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you used to follow that nonce." I guarantee you he's a fucking sex offender. Like, I used to work with nothing but sex offenders, rehabilitating them, psychology. Like, I've studied sex offenders more than I've studied anything else in my life. And this guy screams rapist, right? I don't need to worry about libel here, partly because almost no one's going to watch this video, but because he ticks all the boxes, all the hallmarks. He's been accused of sex trafficking. They don't make those accusations lightly. They don't do it without an investigation. They don't do it without fucking proof. Nobody takes a case to court without strong evidence. The judge won't even allow you to have an arrest warrant without strong evidence. He's done something. He's done something, right? And I'd be shocked if he actually treats women well in general. All I really want to say is he's a snake oil salesman pretending to be an emperor. He's not your role model. This is not how you should be. If you don't want to end up being arrested for sex trafficking, don't follow the way Tate does things. You know, find a philosophy to follow. Taoism, Stoicism's my favorite. Anything other than this kind of fucking idiot. You know, get some real masculine mentors who are healthy, emotionally able to connect with both men and women. Don't hold bitterness and resentment. Don't see people as inferior to themselves. Sigma male. Psychopath. It's just a psychopath. Why would you worship a psychopath? You think they have good lives? Because they don't. The research shows they're very dissatisfied with their lives when they get older. Why did you want that for yourself? Go get yourself a coach or a therapist, or join a men's group that's going to actually encourage you to find authentic confidence in a healthy way, to be masculine if you want to be masculine, to be successful with women and money if you want. You don't have to be a sleazy creep to do all that stuff. You can do it actually from a place of power. Final note. Unlike most of Tate's detractors, I don't actually have a great moral issue with him. Like, people like him exist and I accept that. I've worked with guys who are worse, you know. It's just the way of life. I kind of admire his skills. Not that I'd ever want to emulate them, but the guy is one of the best marketers I've ever seen since Trump, who I thought was the best when I saw it. You know, I'm not battling against him because he's a bad man. I'm speaking out because I care about the men who follow him, and I don't want them to go down the path off the edge of the cliff that he's been carving out. I hope that gets through to someone. Find something else. I can point you in the direction of a dozen other men who are more healthy to follow and will give you all the guidance you need. Fucking Jordan Peterson's a better example than Andrew Tate, right? Andrew Huberman, Lex Friedman. Like, there are better guys out there to follow who aren't going to take you into scandal and controversy and make you look stupid for worshipping them. Hope this helps. Get in touch. I'll see you next time. Dan at brojo.org. Cheers.